Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are continuing our study of this book, Elevation to Krishna Consciousness, Chapter 2. In Chapter 1, which was called Choosing and Human and Animal Lives, we saw how Srila Prabhupada gave a beautiful example that, this body is so valuable, yet temporary. It's an investment. We should use it to get better returns. We should not degrade ourselves. We went to a discussion of how sense gratification is very trivial, right? Some happiness is there, but not ultimate happiness. Instead, don't degrade oneself by sense gratification, like how people who worship pigs. So Prabhupada told us that, this body is like $1,000,000 invested to make it $2,000,000. That is the goal. So the next chapter, hard struggle for happiness. So let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to teach us. In the revealed scriptures, the Supreme Lord is described as Satchit Ananda Vigraha. We saw the shloka also from Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Sat means eternal. Chit means fully cognizant, fully knowledgeable. Ananda means joyful. And Vigraha means that he is a person, he has a form. Thus, the Lord or the Supreme Godhead, who is one without a second, is a fully cognizant, full with intelligence and knowledge, conscious, and eternally joyful personality with a full sense of his identity. No one is equal to him or greater than him. This is from a Sanskrit word, asama urdhva, asama urdha. Asama urdhva means asama urdhva. No one equal, no one better. This is a concise, a very just description of the Supreme Lord. The living entities, jivas, are minute samples of the Supreme Lord, and being so, they therefore find in their activities the desire for eternal existence, for complete knowledge, and for happiness. We are proper saying that Lord is Satchit Anand. We are also Satchit Anand. Therefore, naturally, we are looking for things which are Satchit and Ananda. These desires are evident in human society and in the upper planetary systems, Shvarga, Loka, Jana Loka, Tapaloka, Mahaloka, Brahma Loka. So here Prabhupada is giving an indication of the 7 planetary systems. 14 planetary systems are there. Earth is in the middle. It's a planetary system. It's not one planet. And then the higher planets, Swarga, Jana, Tapa, Maha, Brahma Loka, like that. Everyone is desiring for Satchidananda. The living entities enjoy a longer duration of life, an increased amount of knowledge, and a great, generally more blissful existence. But even in the highest planet in this material world, where the duration of life and standard of enjoyment are thousands and thousands times greater than those on earth, there is still old age, disease, and death. So, like they say, the demigods, they don't blink their eyes, they don't step on the ground when they walk, they don't sweat. In fact, they have perfumed bodies. If they enter into a lake or forest, they make that lake water scented. Right? That is the nature of the devatas. So they have higher levels of pleasure. Right? They only eat food made in ghee. It's mentioned here. Consequently, the level of enjoyment is insignificant in comparison to the eternal bliss enjoyed in the company of the Supreme Lord. So the people in the higher planet system, they are enjoying more than us, but still it is considered insignificant if you compare it to the spiritual world. Loving service to the Supreme Lord in different relationships, even the enjoyment of impersonal Brahman as loving service to the Supreme Lord in different relationship makes even the enjoyment of impersonal Brahman as insignificant as a drop of water in comparison to the ocean. So even someone who's desiring after Brahma Jyoti, it is nothing compared to the kind of bliss that one gets in personal relationship with Krishna. Every living being desires the topmost level of enjoyment in this world. And yet everyone is unhappy here. Everyone wants the best enjoyment, but no one is happy. This unhappiness is present in all the higher planets, despite a longer lifespan, higher standards and enjoyment and comfort. That is due to the law of material nature. We can increase the duration of life and the standard to the highest capacity. And yet by the law of material nature, we will be unhappy. The reason for this is that the quality of happiness which is suitable for our constitution, means our nature, who we are, the soul, is different from the happiness which is derived from material activities. The living entities is a minute particle of the supreme spiritual energy of the Lord, who is Satchit Ananda, Vigraha. And therefore, he has the necessary propensity for joy, which is spiritual in quality. So basically, Prabhupada is saying no matter how much material happiness you give, we can never be satisfied. We will never be fully happy because we are spirit. Unfortunately for him, he is trying vainly to attain his enjoyment from the foreign atmosphere of the material nature. Like sometimes they joke, trying to taste honey by licking the bottle, right? What you will taste? You have to open it and go inside. But if you just start licking the bottle thinking that I taste honey. So Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example. A fish that is taken out of the water cannot be happy by any arrangement on land. He must be supplied with water. So it's a very common example Prabhupada used, and ISKCON devotees have made this beautiful painting, right? A fish out of water, you give him money, you give him some magazine, you give him some alcohol, some cigarettes, some drugs, or some food, and the fish might try all this, but is this going to satisfy the fish? No, you have to put the fish in its original element, which is water. It's to go back into water, right? So in the same way, the minute Sachit Ananda living entity cannot be really happy through any amount of planning conceived by his illusion brain of this material world. He must therefore be given a different type of happiness, which is spiritual in essence. Our ambition should be aimed at enjoying spiritual bliss and not this temporary happiness. Nice point. This should be the ambition, that I want to taste spiritual bliss. Some philosophers claim that spiritual bliss is attained by negating material happiness and material existence. Theoretical negation of material activities, as propounded by Sripad Shankaracharya, may be effective for an insignificant section of mankind, but the best and surest way for everyone to attain spiritual bliss was propounded by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by means of devotional activities. So Shankaracharya said, negate this world, right? Not how many of us can give up everything, isn't it? Like even if you take anyone, everybody, no one can give up this world, isn't it? It's very difficult. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a more practical method. By uh, the Gyanis, they hate this world, right? They demonize this world. And the karmis, they want to sensualize this world. They want to enjoy this world. What about the devotees, the bhaktas? The bhaktas utilize this world. One wants to sensualize it. One wants to demonize it. We utilize it. These devotional activities can change the very face of material nature. Hankering after material happiness is called lust. And the lusty activities are sure to meet with frustration in the long run. The body of a snake is very cold, but if a man wanting to enjoy this coolness garlands himself with a venomous snake, he will surely be killed by the snake's venomous bite. So here sense gratification is compared to a snake. The coolness is the happiness that comes from sense gratification. When you try to enjoy the senses, there are some happiness. We don't deny it. But if you're so much engrossed with the coolness of the snake, the enjoyment coming from sense gratification, what will happen? Snake will kill us. Similarly, sense gratification will destroy our spiritual life. The material senses are compared to the snake. Indulgence in material happiness will surely kill our spiritual identity. Therefore, a sane man should be ambitious to find the real source of happiness. In order to find this source, however, we need some knowledge of what this happiness is. There is a story of a foolish man who had no experience with sugarcane. Right? When he asked his friend about the characteristics of sugarcane, he was imperfectly informed that sugarcane resembles the shape of a bamboo stick. So I hope that you have experienced. We live in a rural area here. We have bamboos, we have sugarcanes. They look very similar. Right? Consequently, he began to try to extract juice from the bamboo sticks, but naturally he was baffled in his attempts. Right? This is the situation with the illusion living entity who, in his search for eternal happiness, tries to extract happiness from this material world, which is not only full of miseries, but is also transient and flickering. Transient, if you study waves, for one moment, it's very transient, and it's flickering, does not last. So therefore, in this world, we are looking for sugarcane, but we are just chewing on bamboo. You chew on bamboo, what will happen? You will break your teeth. So Prabhupada quotes this verse. In Bhagavad Gita, the material world is described as being full of miseries. A Brahma Bhuvana Loka, up to Brahma Loka. Punar Avartino Juna. Oh Arjun, it's all places where one has to return, rebirth. Mam upetya tu kaunteya. But if you come to me, O Arjun, Punar Janmana Vidyate. You will not take birth again. Okay, this is the 8th chapter, 16th verse of Bhagavad Gita. The ambition of happiness is natural and good. Nothing wrong with trying to be happy. But the attempt to derive it from inert matter by so-called scientific arrangements is an illusionary attempt doomed to frustration. Those who are befooled cannot understand this. How a person is driven by the lust for material happiness is also described in Bhagavad Gita. Why is a person so crazy for material enjoyment? He quotes this verse in the 16th chapter, which speaks about the demoniac mentality. Idam madhya mayalla bhityam imam prapsase manoratam idam astidam apime bhavishyati punardhanam. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today. Ho, ho, ho. And I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now. Ho, ho, ho. And I will increase it in future more and more. Right? The person is always thinking, I have no, I need more, I want more. So here Krishna is saying this is the demoniac mentality. This atheistic or godless civilization is a huge affair contrived for the gratification of our senses. Right? You can say contrived means falsely created. It's a nice word, Prabhupada use. Contrived for gratification of our senses. And we are all mad after money in order to maintain this empty shell, right? To maintain this body, we're all mad after money. Money is sought after by everyone because that is the medium of exchange for objects of sense gratification. Obviously, the expectation of peace in such an atmosphere of gold rush pandemonium is an utopian dream. It's very beautiful. Utopian means ideal, right? Utopia. It's supposed to be like a very ideal place, not the African country Ethiopia. It's a different name. Utopian means a very ideal. It's like a fable. But here Prabhupada says that thinking that I'll get peace where there is a gold rush pandemonium. So Prabhupada quotes this pandemonium means chaos. Gold rush is because again this book Prabhupada is a person of the 1950s, right? 1960, 1940s. He grew up in all this 1920s. So Srila Prabhupada know what is gold rush is, which is a very interesting thing. If it comes from one of the famous plays by Charlie Chaplin, who we also know from different Prabhupada Leela, that Srila Prabhupada was kind of a fan of Charlie Chaplin. He used to watch Charlie Chaplin and enjoy the shows. Charlie Chaplin used to portray the reality of this world in a very humorous way, like kind of a dark comedy. So he spoke about the gold rush, which in the 80s, America and all, they found some gold somewhere in northwest Canada, right? I forgot the name of the place. So, and everyone was crazy for it. So the gold rush was so crazy that miners, people who did mining from US, used to give up everything and just go all the way to Canada. And it was so cold, it's snowy. Many of them got caught in the snow. Many of them suffered. There was not enough to eat. People actually started eating leather from their shoes. Right? People start to actually become cannibals, eating each other, killing each other, and eating each other. It's such a crazy situation. So Prabhupada is saying that in such a gold rush pandemonium, when everyone's crazy for gold, right, how can you expect peace? Very nice Prabhupada mentions it actually. As long as there is a slightest tinge of sense gratification or desire for sense gratification, peace will remain far, far away. Another fantastic line, right? Because sense gratification means selfishness. This is because by nature we are all eternal servants of the Supreme Lord and therefore cannot enjoy anything for our personal interests. It is therefore necessary for us to learn how to employ our senses in the transcendental service of the Lord and to utilize everything to serve his interests. This alone can bring about much desired peace. A part of the body cannot in itself be independently happy. It can only derive its happiness and pleasure out of serving the entire body. In our earlier book, we have seen this is a kind of example. If a finger tries to enjoy itself, it's not possible. It has to serve the body, then it can get enjoyment. The Supreme Lord is the whole and we are parts. We are all busily engaged in activities of self-interest, isn't it not? Our whole lives go in trying to just pamper and create an illusion around us, right? And activities of self-interest. No one is prepared to serve the Lord. This is the basic cause for our conditioning in the material existence and for our resultant unhappiness. From the highest executive in his skyscraper down to the coolie in the street. Prabhupada's way of saying, Ah Brahma Bhuvana Loka. All are working with the thought of accumulating wealth, legally or illegally. Actually, if it's all it is all illegal. Prabhupada says there's no legal wealth. For to work for one's self-interest is both unlawful and destructive. Just imagine Prabhupada saying all the money and all the economic, so-called economic development is illegal. Even the cultivation of spiritual realization for one's own self-interest is unlawful and destructive. The desire for moksha prapti, I want to get out of this world. That is also unlawful and destructive. The point is that all activities must be directed to the satisfaction of Krishna and his service, because everything else is selfish. Those who are not engaged in the transcendent loving service of the Lord wrongfully think that they are accumulating so much money day after day. So the continuation of the demoniac people. Ashapashashate baddha kama krodha parayanah ihante kama bhogartam aya anya yenartha sanchayan. Being bound by hundreds and thousands of desire, by lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. Actually, we think half of the world's wealth is mostly kind of illegal, isn't it? Consequently, although there is no lack of money in this world, there is scarcity of peace. Beautiful line, another beautiful line, right? There's no lack of money, no lack of wealth. So much money, so much wealth is there in this world, but scarcity of peace. So much human energy is being diverted to making money, for the general population has increased its capacity to make more and more dollars. But in the long run, the result is that this unrestricted and unlawful monetary inflation has created a bad economy all over the world and has provoked us to manufacture huge and costly weapons to destroy the very result of such cheap money making, right? So about wealth, there's an interesting point I would like to share. So gold, right? Gold is where Kali sits. If you see this verse from Bhagavatam 1.17.39, and if you see the verse before this, the verse before this says where our four regulative principles that we follow in ISKCON come from. No meat eating, no intoxication, right? No gambling and no illicit sex. These four things come from the previous verse. In that, the next verse, this verse, Parikshit Maharaj tells to Kali personified, the Kali means the age of Kali Yuga, quarrel and hypocrisy, that he was saying that, my lord, these four things do not exist in your kingdom. Give me a fifth place. He said, okay, take gold, right? The personality of Kali asked for somewhere more, and because of his begging, the king, Parikshit, gave him permission to live where there is gold. Because wherever there is gold, there is falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. All that four things we saw in the earlier verse, the four regular principles. Wherever there is gold stocked, this is always present, right? Because there's always abuse of gold. So this is one interesting verse that you can note down and read on your own time. Another in this point I would like to, which I remember, is from the 11th canto, 23rd chapter, 17th verse, where it talks about seven nature or seven bad qualities of wealth. In earning wealth, in getting wealth, in trying to increase your wealth, in trying to protect your wealth, in trying to spend your wealth, when you lose your wealth, and when you enjoy your wealth. All men, all persons experience great four things. Labor, there's huge efforts. Fear, there's always fear. Anxiety and delusion. Right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. In all these seven states, money has to do. When you earn money, when you get money, someone gives you money for free, or you find money, when you try to increase your money, when you try to hold on, protect your money, even when you spend money, there's always fear, pain, right? When you try to enjoy your money, there's also fear, there's also effort, so much effort it goes. Like someone wants to go for a holiday, they call it so much effort. Book a flight ticket, book a hotel, book a car, right? Go and eat in a hotel, stay, check in, so much headache. So these are the seven kind of durgun, the bad qualities that has to do with accumulating or amassing wealth. Right? Then we go back to what Prabhupada has to say. The leaders of big money-making countries are not really enjoying peace, but they are making plans to save themselves from imminent destruction by nuclear weapons. In fact, huge sums of money are being thrown into the sea by way of experiments with these dreadful weapons. And we see nowadays, they make a bomb or they make a satellite or something and they shoot it. And usually where they crash it? In the ocean, thinking that they are not hurting anyone. Such experiments are being carried out not only at a huge cost, but also the cost of many lives. Are they not killing the ocean creatures? Right? And so much waste and so much, toxic that gets into it. In this way, nations are being bound by the laws of karma. Right? So let's take another interesting thing I was thinking. This is the last year's defense budget for top 10 countries in this world. You see here, there's France, right? The lowest, $84 billion spent in defense, military defense. South Korea, the UK, Japan, Germany, Saudi Arabia, India, Russia, China, and the most. All these top countries combined, you get the amount which USA is spending. There's so much money being spent for defense. And every year, the defense budget, military budget keeps increasing. So much fear is there in people. Where is happiness then? When men are motivated by the impulse for sense gratification, whatever money is earned is spoiled. Nice point, huh? When people are selfish because of sense gratification, whatever money you earn is actually wasted, being spent for the destruction of the human race. The energy of the human race is thus wasted by the laws of nature because of man's aversion to Lord, who is actually the proprietor of all energies. Beautiful line. God has given us all energies. We are utilizing these energies as to waste our energy, doing foolish, unwanted things which are only destroying our own people. Right? Like now everyone is worried about microplastics. Oh, I'm eating microplastics. You create a whole plastic civilization where there's plastic everywhere. Wealth, Prabhupada gives. What's the real vision about wealth? Is worshipped and is referred to as Mother Lakshmi, or goddess of fortune. So in ISKCON also we have a lingo. We ask, how much Lakshmi is this? How much Lakshmi should I carry? We don't use the word money. We use the word Lakshmi. Right? Prabhu, do you have any Lakshmi? Can I borrow some Lakshmi? I don't have Lakshmi. Right? So we respect wealth because it's Devi. It is her position to serve Narayan. Lakshmi is always serving Narayan, the source of all naras, or living beings. The naras are also meant to serve Narayana under the guidance of the goddess of fortune. We are supposed to listen to the wealth and use the wealth for Lakshmi in service of Narayan. The living being cannot enjoy the goddess of fortune without serving Narayan. And therefore, whoever desires to enjoy her wrongly, enjoying Lakshmi but without Narayan, will be punished by the laws of nature. So, a beautiful example is always given of Ravana, who tried to enjoy Sita but kill Ram, who enjoy Sita away from Ram. He led to his destruction. So people nowadays, when they get wealth of this world, which is anyways not ours, it is all the wealth which is given by the earth itself. It belongs to Bhumi, it belongs to the Lord. We're supposed to utilize it to glorify the Lord. And when we build big temples of stone and crystals and diamonds and jewels, people say, what is the point? The point is that it all belongs to Him. Right? So ancient temples and many ancient cultures, they used to decorate. The Lord's palace used to be very big and beautiful. And the devotees used to live in simple houses because they'll spend most of the time in the temple. But nowadays, people have huge, big houses, right? And if you go inside the house, they ask you, where is your devgar, or where is your worshipable, your altar? Which is some small in the corner, something. Those people have big. Nowadays, some people have the altar outside the house because maybe they eat non-veg and also they have something outside the house. Right? They feel a little guilty. But actually, all wealth, gold, everything belongs to the Lord. These laws will make certain that the money itself will bring about destruction instead of peace and prosperity. So all the craze for gold, oil, which is the world is currently running in, right, will bring about destruction if we do not use it in the service of the money. Unlawfully accumulated money is now being snatched from miserly citizens by various methods. So citizens are so miserly, so thrifty, as they say. In Hindi, they say kanjus, right? How their money is being stolen? Methods of state taxation for the future civil and international war fund, which is spending money in a wasteful and destructive manner. The citizens are no longer satisfied with just enough money to maintain a family nicely and cultivate spiritual knowledge, both of which are essential in human life. People should be happy with spending money just for that, cultivating your Krishna consciousness. Like we buy books, we buy worshipping paraphernalia, we go on dham yatras. This is how money should be utilized. Now everyone wants money unlimitedly to satisfy insatiable desires. In proportion to the person's unlawful desires, their accumulated money is taken away by the agents of illusionary energy in the shape of, are you ready? Medical practitioners, lawyers, tax collectors, right? Isn't it? So much money we store, thinking that let me and use it for my own sense gratification. One disease comes, half the money is gone. Lawyers come, one accusation comes, tax collector comes. Societies, people start paying, and nowadays, like most people live in an apartment or housing society. So there's some tax you have to pay, some coverage, maintenance fee, they call it. Constitutions and so-called holy men, people come cheat them. Famines, earthquakes, and many similar calamities. A lot of money is being spent in that. Prabhupada narrates with an incident that happened in 1970s to the ISKCON movement. One miser, very cheapskate person, who hesitated to purchase a copy of Back to Godhead, spent $2,000 in 1970 for a week's supplies of medicine and then died. Bro, they wanted to give a Back to Godhead. He was like, nah, you need to spend. So he started spending money on medicine and he died. If he at least read Back to Godhead, he would have read some Hare Krishna mantra or some knowledge. Proper, he feels very compassionate about another case. Another man who refused to spend a cent for the service of the Lord wasted thousands of dollars in a legal suit between the family members of his home. Right? So Prabhupada is relating all these accounts. There are innumerable similar instances occasioned by the dictation of the illusionary nature. Indeed, that is the law of nature. Right? The more you try to hold on, accumulate, someone will come and take it all away. The Shastra gives this analogy of the bees collecting honey. Collects, honey, 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 honey. And then the guy comes, the person comes, the human comes, cuts it and takes it all away. So much effort gone. Or maybe in the American countries or European countries, when it's winter, you'll experience this squirrel that comes before the winter and collects all the nuts and hides it in some tree or something. And a human comes and suddenly stumbles upon it and all the nuts gets lost. Isn't it? If money is not devoted to the service of the Lord, it must be spent as spoiled energy in the form of legal problem or diseases. It's a very powerful line. So actually the mood in ISKCON also when we ask people to donate, it's not that Prabhupada says we're not desperate for money. We're worshipping the Lakshmi Pati, the master of fortune, goddess of fortune. Krishna has all the money. But it is to engage people's wealth so they do not spoil their energy. It's for their own benefit. Foolish people do not have the eyes to see such facts. Therefore, the laws of the Supreme Lord befool them. The laws of nature do not allow us to accept more money than is required for proper maintenance. Right? Wow, it's a powerful line, right? There is ample arrangement by the law of nature to provide every living being with his due share of food and shelter, but the insatiable lusts of human beings have disturbed the arrangement set forth by the Almighty Father for all species of life. So just remember, in yesterday's reading also, there came the verse of Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. Right? God has given everything for everyone according to their quota. The amount of happiness, the amount of distress, everything is fixed. There's no need in trying to artificially endeavor for this, right? Because everything is given. So there's a nice verse in this context. Right? This comes from the discussion between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva, first canto, 5th chapter, 18th verse. Network. So it's a beautiful verse. Please note this down. I request you to read it on your own time. 1:5:18. So here it's mentioned, I'm going to read the translation. Persons who are actually intelligent, and philosophically inclined, right, should endeavor only. So where should our endeavor in life be put? In that purposeful and end, which is not attainable even by wandering from the topmost planet down to the lowest planet. So we may take so many lives wandering up and down, looking for something. Find that thing which is not available in this 14 planetary systems. What is that? Bhakti. Bhakti is not available. Right? You've been trying all kinds of sense gratification as a peacock, as a bird, as a demigod, as a human, as a horse, as a cat, as a dog. But try for devotional life. As far, very important line, huh? Next line. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, happiness about my senses, it can be obtained automatically in course of time. Happiness comes automatic. Just as in cause of time we obtain miseries, although we do not desire them. In life, none of us want problems, none of us want miseries. Do they not come on its own accord? So similarly, happiness will also come on its own accord. Problem, illusion is that we think we have to seek after happiness. Just as miseries come on its own in our life, we don't invite them, they come. Similarly, happiness requires no invitation. According to our quota, happiness will also come in whatever shape and form. One need not endeavor. Real endeavor, Narada Muni is saying, should be placed in developing Krishna consciousness. By the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, there is an ocean of salt. Because salt is so necessary for the living being, there's an ocean of salt. God has in the same manner arranged for sufficient air and light, which is also essential. Anyone can collect any amount of salt from the natural storehouse. Right? You can take so much salt from the ocean. But constitutionally, ultimately, We cannot take more salt than what we need, right? If we take more salt, we spoil the broth. In food, although there's an ocean of salt, we don't put an ocean of salt in the food, isn't it? We have to put the right amount. If we take less salt, our food becomes tasteless, right? On the other hand, if we take only what we require, our food is tasty and we are healthy. So this is what Srila Prabhupada's very famous purport comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sense gratification is like salt. This is a famous verse. This comes from 3rd canto, 15th chapter, 8th verse. Sense gratification is just like salt. One cannot take too much or too little, but one must take some salt in order to make one's foodstuff palatable. So we all have this body. We are not denying sense gratification. We need to eat, we need to sleep, so on and so forth. We have to do as much as is needed, necessary, right? So very beautiful analogy. Sense gratification is like salt. This is the one purport that Prabhupada mentions this. You can note this down also. 3:15:8. I'm giving you a lot of homework this time. Presently, there is a great deal of concern over the fact that our natural resources are becoming polluted and exhausted. This is 1970s. People have been crying since then. Natural resources are depleting. Actually, there is ample supply, Prabhupada says. But due to misuse and greed, everything is being spoiled. What conservationists and ecologists do not understand is that everything will continue to be spoiled by the insatiable lusts of mankind unless this Krishna conscious process is taken up. So if a real ecologist would say that people be devotees, then the ecology is saved. We have seen recently in Corona, in the 2 years of lockdown, many natural things started to regenerate. Animals started to come back and rivers become clean and so many things started naturally. The earth was healing actually. It is impossible to have peace on any platform existence without Krishna consciousness. Man is therefore suffering due to his insatiable desires and lusts. Not only is man suffering, but the planet on which he resides, his Mother Earth, represented in Srimad Bhagavatam by Mother Cow, is also suffering. Once a well-known Swami in India was asked whether God or Providence, right, luck, is responsible for the suffering of humanity, right? Is God responsible for people suffering? The Swami replied that these sufferings were all God's pastime or Leela. It's foolish. They're saying like that. Oh, no, people are not really suffering. It's all just God's Leela. The questioner continued to ask, then why a living entity should be put under dictations of the laws of karma? If everything is God's Leela, then why is there a law of punishment and reward? The Swami could not answer the question to the satisfaction of his inquirers. So Prabhupada kind of like shides the Swami. I will not say his name because Prabhupada did not take his name. The monoists and impersonalists who think only in terms of oneness with the living entities with the Supreme Lord cannot give satisfactory answers. Prabhupada says he could not answer properly to such questions. Such an imperfect reply can hardly satisfy the heart of a living entity. The Lord is described in all scriptures as Leela Purushottam, or the personality of Godhead, who is by his own nature always engaged in transcendental pastimes. In the Vedanta Sutra, he is also described as Anandamaya Abhyasa, one who's always looking for enjoyment. The monoists and impersonalists try with great difficulty to explain this sutra in diverse ways in order to support their imperfect theory of oneness and impersonality. However, the fact remains that Ananda pleasure cannot be enjoyed alone, right? The variety is the mother of enjoyment, is a well-known, that variety is the mother of enjoyment is a well-known fact. Cities, for instance, are known to be attractive if they contain a variety of things, right? So if there's variegatedness, then there's Ananda, right? So therefore, there's a difference between the Lord and his living entities so that he can experience Ananda. You need two to experience love. Living entities are naturally attracted by variety, by attractive streets, buildings, cinemas, parks, conveyances, businesses, employments, foodstuff, etc. Despite all this variety, the English poet Cowper. So yesterday, or the chapter before, we saw Prabhupada quoting one John Milton, right? Paradise Lost. And he wrote that book. Here Prabhupada is quoting another very famous old English poet, William Cowper, who has said this wonderful saying, the city is made by man, but the country is made by God. We have to, appreciate Srila Prabhupada's language, Srila Prabhupada's erudite scholarship. arts, in poetry, very expert. Right? So actually, we are reading the Srila Prabhupada books not only to get some knowledge about spiritual life, but so that we can gain deeper affection and love for the founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada. Appreciate every single how the words he uses, the examples he cites. Fantastic. So this William Cowper, I think this must be like 17th century or 18th century, some poet at the time. At the time. The countryside is also full of natural variegatedness in a crude form. Whereas in the city, this variegatedness is displayed in a modernized scientific manner. Poets, so you understand this, no? Because even in the rural setting, there is variety, but it's in a crude form. One has to really see to understand. Then Prabhupada writes a nice line. Poets like Cowper are attracted to the variegatedness of the country, and Prozac people who live in the city are attracted to the colorful varieties manufactured by man. This is like a beautiful comparison. Prabhupada is comparing poets like Cowper, so the refined people. There's poetry and there's prose, right? So poetry is very beautiful language. Prose is generally a sentence, not so beautiful, not so refined. So here Prabhupada is saying poets like Cowper and prosaic people. Prosaic people means very dull, very boring. He compares the people of the city. Poets, they love this variety of the country, of the rural setting, nature. But prosaic people, prose-like people, dullards people who live in the city, they are attracted by colorful varieties manufactured by man. What are the colorful varieties? Today, if you want to go and buy a Tupperware, right? In Hindi, they say dabba, right? So you go to the big convenience store and you see varieties of Tupperwares. Everything is of the same size, different colors, green, yellow, blue. These are the colorful varieties manufactured by man, isn't it? In any case, it is variegatedness which attracts people both to the country and the city. The essence is the same, variety. This is the proper explanation of the verse of the Vedanta Sutra, Anandamayo Abhyasa. Prabhupada saying this is the actual understanding. What is Anandamayo? We need variety. Therefore, impersonalism cannot stand. Many so-called swamis who are so frequently attracted by the cities often seek a kind of pleasure in society and feminine friendship. They create some society, they create some following, they put their name, so and so movement, right? And they have a lot of female followers. Generally, they are not attracted by the natural beauty of the woods, although they may assume the dress of a man who is meant to live in the woods. They're wearing a sadhu's cloth, but they're not attracted to nature. They're attracted to the high conveniences of the cities and modern day these things. Such swamis are seeking varieties of enjoyment in matter because they have no information of the variegatedness of spiritual life. Prabhupada is so candid, so uncanny in this quoting other people here. On the one hand, they enjoy variegatedness in matter, and on the other hand, they deny spiritual variegatedness to the absolute. These are the impersonalists. They say that the Lord is, there's no nothing, there's no God, there's no form. This is a white light. So then this material world looks more enjoyable. This material enjoyment is so much better than going there when if there's nothing over there. Because they are pledged to the theory of monoism and impersonalism, they deny that whatever pertains to matter can pertain to spirit also. They deny this. They do not understand that matter is ultimately derived from spirit. If you see some love in matter, it's because there is love in real love in spirit. If you see there is some kindness or some attraction in matter, because it comes from there. According to them, spirit is a denial of matter. Like I told you, demonize this world. The fact is, however, that spirit is not a negation of matter, but matter is a perverted reflection of spirit. So this Krishna consciousness is so beautiful. We do not deny matter. Like there's some people, some religion who deny matter totally. No, we understand that matter is just a bad photocopy, a bad Xerox copy, a bad photo state of the original. Right? You have an original document, and sometimes when you Xerox it or photocopy it, it comes out as a bad copy if your ink is not right. So the material world is a bad photocopy of the spiritual world. That's it. The real pleasure of variety exists in spirit without deluding relativity. On the other hand, inert matter in association with dynamic spirit manifests a false representation or a perverted reflection of that very spiritual variegatedness, which is so adamantly denied by the monoist class of so-called swamis. Okay, basically, spirit, right, is spirit is real happiness, and spirit manifesting to dull matter is temporary. reflection, perverted. As stated before, the Supreme Lord is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, joyful by nature, and therefore he expands himself by his energy, parts, and differentiated plenary portions. The Supreme Law, the Supreme is the absolute truth, and he is one without a second. But he also includes his diverse energy, parts, and plenary portions, which are simultaneously one with and different from him. The Lord is Shaktiman, the original of all Shaktis, energies, and the Shaktis are equal to him at the same time different also. Just like sunshine is different and same than the sun. When we see sunshine coming in the room, we understand that, oh, the sun, right? But at the same time, we also understand that it's not that the sun has entered my room. There's a difference, but there is a similarity also. Because he is joyful by nature, he expands himself in diverse ways. And the activities of these expansions are called these transcendental pastimes or Leela. The Lord expands for enjoyment. These pastimes, however, are not blind and inert. They exhibit full sense, independence, and freedom of action and reaction, of karma. These complexities of the actions and reactions of the diverse energies of the absolute truth constitute the subject matter of a vast science called the transcendental science of God. Right? How God acts, his action, himself, everything is acting, but he's not caught up by it. And the Bhagavad Gita is the ABC, Prabhupada writes, a primary book of knowledge for students interested in that science. Every intelligent human being should become interested in this transcendental science, Bhagavad Gita. Indeed, according to the opinions of the sages, human life is not only meant for learning this. Human life is only meant for learning this science. The opening words of the Vedanta Sutra proclaim, now it is time to inquire about Brahman. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Ataha Brahma Jigyasa. Now it has come the time, inquire about God. Now means what? You have got a human body. You have been waiting so long, moving around in the tabernacle of dog, cat, animal, plant, whatever. Now you've got a human form. Atata, Brahma Jigyasa. Quickly, now this is the time to inquire, O human being. Human life by nature is full of suffering, and lower life forms are even more miserable. Isn't it? Any sane man with proper discriminating senses can understand that life in this material world is full of miseries and that no one is free from the actions and reactions of such miseries. This is not a pessimistic view of life. When we speak like this, we read that someone says, oh my God, it sounds so negative. It is not a pessimistic view of life, but it's an actual fact which we should not be blind to. If someone used to say that cancer kills, oh, don't be so pessimistic. But cancer kills. The miseries of life are divided into three categories, namely miseries arising from the body and mind. I hope all of you know the Sanskrit term by now. Adhyatmika klesh. Misery arising from other living entities, Adhibhaudika klesh. And miseries arising due to natural calamities, Adhidhaivika klesh. A sane man must look to eliminate these miseries or kleshas and thereby become happy in life. We are all trying to achieve peace and freedom from these miseries, at least unconsciously. We may not think about it, but that's what we're trying to do. And in the higher intellectual circles, there are attempts to rid of these miseries by ingenious plans and designs. People are thinking how to overcome these problems of life. But the power that baffles all the plans and designs of even the most intelligent person is the power of Maya Devi, or the illusionary energy. The law of karma, or the result of all actions and reactions in the material world, is controlled by this all-powerful illusionary energy. Maya controls karma. Maya is making a fool out of everyone. The activities of this energy function according to the principles and regulations, and they act conscientiously under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Everything is done by nature in full consciousness. Nothing is blind or accidental. This material energy is also called Durga, by which indicates that it is a force which is difficult to surpass. No one can surpass the laws of Durga by any amount of childish plan. So Durga means fought, or Durga, very difficult to overcome. To get rid of the sufferings of humanity is simultaneously a very difficult and also a very easy affair. This is a line, if you remember, in the last book we read, On the Way to Krishna, Prabhupada told the same thing. So Prabhupada told that something is very difficult, at the same time very easy. Why does he say like this? Is he contradicting himself? No. If you remember, in the 5th chapter of On the Way to Krishna, here Prabhupada writes, Philosophical research into the science of God has to be prosecuted by many births. God realization is very easy, but at the same time, it is very difficult. It's easy for who? Those who accept Krishna's words as truth. But those who don't, they have to do a lot of endeavor. So here similarly saying, to get rid of suffering is also very easy, but at the same time very difficult. As long as the conditioned souls who are themselves bound up by the laws of nature, they keep on manufacturing plans to get rid of these miseries, there will be no solution. It will be very difficult. If we keep having faith and trusting that let me one day find a means, find a method, I can be happy in this world, right? Then it's going to be very difficult. The only effective solution are those mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, and we have to adopt them in our practical lives for our own benefit. The three miseries of material nature, which we discussed earlier, are not found in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. As mentioned before, he is eternally joyful and his transcendental pastimes are not different from him. Because he is the absolute truth, his name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes are all identical with him. His pastimes, therefore, cannot be equated to the sufferings of humanity as the so-called Swami contends. People are suffering and they say this is the Lord's pastime. No, this is brought upon by our own misdoing, by our own foolishness. Lord is always enjoying. The pastimes of the Supreme Lord are transcendental to the actual miseries and sufferings of human beings. The sufferings of humanity are caused by the misuse of indiscriminative power or the little independence which is given to the individual souls. The fraudulent swamis or mental speculators, in order to remain consistent with the theory of monoism, must pass off the miseries of mankind as the pastimes of God. But actually, these miseries are only the enforced punishments of Maya inflicted upon the misguided conditioned souls. As living entities, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Indeed, we actually belong to his superior energy. As such, we may join his transcendental pastimes in our unconditioned state of life. But as long as we are conditioned by the laws of karma, in contact with the inferior energy, our sufferings are our own creations. Our sufferings, our own creations, born of a gross misuse of our little independence. The impersonalist monoists only misguide people by contending that the threefold miseries are part of the Lord's pastime. If someone is suffering, they say, don't worry, nothing wrong. No, there is something wrong. Learn to, we are stuck in illusion, get out of it. Such impersonalists and monoists have misguided their followers because they incorrectly think that the Supreme Lord and the individual souls are equal in all respects. The Jivatma and the Paramatma, they say to be one. True, the individual souls are equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. God is Satchidananda, we are also Satchidananda, but not in quantity. If the individual soul were quantitatively equal to the Supreme Lord, he would have never been subjected to the laws of material nature. If I was God, as powerful as God, then why am I stuck in this horrible life? Material nature is subordinate to the will of the Supreme Lord, and therefore he cannot be subjected to the laws of material nature. God cannot be subjected. It is contradictory for the Lord to be subjected to the laws of his own inferior energy. It's his energy. How can he come under his energy? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mataf parantaram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre manigana eva. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls strung on a thread. Again, Sri Krishna states, Tribir gunamair bhaver ebhi sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabi janati mamebhya paramavyayam. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above them and inexhaustible. The Lord is behind all this. The individual souls who are put in the miseries of the material world are suffering the resultant reactions of their unsanctioned activities. This is the verdict of Bhagavad Gita. Tayyaham dvisha kururan samrareshu naradaman shipami ajasam shubhan asuresu eva yonishu. Envious, mischievous, the lowest of mankind, these do I ever put back into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Krishna is saying, such demon-like people, envious, lowest people, we put them back into the darkness of material existence. The parts and parcels are meant to serve the whole. When they misuse their independence, they are subject to the miseries of laws of matter. Just as criminals subject to a police station action, the state considers its citizens to be its parts and parcels. But when a citizen misuses his relative independence, the state puts him under police authority. The life of a citizen outside the prison and the life of a citizen within the prison are not the same. Similarly, the sufferings of living entities within this prison of material nature cannot be equated with the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, which exists in absolute freedom of Satchit Ananda. People in the jail, they also eat. People outside, citizens, they also eat. But it's not the same, right? In the jail, they're eating and suffering. Outside, they're eating and relishing. So similarly, we are suffering in this world, but the Nitya Siddhas, those in the spiritual world, they're also eating, dancing, but there's no misery there. No government wants its citizen to act in such a way that they must go to prison and suffer tribulations. Nobody wants it. The prison house is undoubtedly constructed by the state government, but this does not mean that the government is anxious for its citizen to be put into it. Indirectly, the disobedient citizens force the government to construct the prison house. It is not done for the pleasure of the government, which has to spend a great deal of money in constructing and maintaining it. On the contrary, the government would be very glad to demolish prisons altogether, provided that there be no disobedient citizens in the state. In the same way, this material world created by the Supreme Lord, but the Supreme Lord does not will that living entities be put into it. The living entities themselves make that decision, right? We are voluntary prisoners. The residents of this material world are therefore different from those who are eternally engaged in the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord. The impersonal monoists have no information of the full-fledged independent life in the eternal spiritual realm. According to them, the spiritual land is simply void. This is like prisoners thinking that there is no life outside prison. Life outside prison is certainly free from prison activities, but is not devoid of activity. The soul is by nature eternally active, but the impersonalists try to negate the activities of the soul in the spiritual realm. Thus they misunderstand the miseries of prison life to be the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. This is due to their poor fund of knowledge. The Supreme Lord never creates the actions and reactions of an individual soul. In the Bhagavad Gita, this matter is clearly defined in the following way. Okay, so I'm not going to read the Sanskrit out of little lack of time. I'm just going to read the translation. The embodied spirit, master of the city of the body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. So God is not to be blamed for our suffering. All this is enacted by the modes of nature. Nor does the Supreme Spirit assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, we, however, are bewildered because of ignorance which covers their real knowledge. It is clear from this passage that the suffering of humanity are not to be equated with the pastimes of the Supreme Being, nor is the Supreme Being responsible for them. The Lord is never responsible for anyone's vices or virtues. By vicious actions, we are put into more and more distressful conditions, whereas pious actions, we place ourselves on the path of happiness. Thus, man is the architect of his own material distress and happiness. Another beautiful line. This chapter has a lot of beautiful lines. Someone should compile them. The Lord does not want the living entity to become entangled in the reactions of activities, be they good or bad. He simply wants everyone to go back home, back to Godhead. As long as we are not awakened to our pure eternal relationship with God, we are certainly bewildered in our actions. Our actions in respect to right or wrong are all performed on the platform of ignorance. We must rise to the platform of pure knowledge, which is pure realization that we are the eternal servitors of the Supreme Lord and enjoyers of his transcendental pastimes. The Supreme Lord is the master enjoyer of these pastimes, and we are the server enjoyers. Transcendental knowledge is only attainable by transcendental devotional service. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, to those who constantly devoted by serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. By rendering such devotional service only, and not by merely acquiring a bulk of discriminative knowledge, can we know the Supreme Lord as it is? Only by bhakti. When we know the superpersonality of Godhead in reality, we can enter into his pastimes. That is the verdict of all revealed scriptures. So like this, we end the second chapter of Elevation to Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.